Good day and welcome to this edition of the Saints Sports Show. My name is Dominic Papa, and we're talking about the green, gold, and white St. Clair Saints athletics. Of course, their seasons are starting to wind down. All four of the teams that are still playing right now, the women and men's basketball squads, and of course the two volleyball squads, schedules are winding down. Just a couple of weekends remaining before we get into, hopefully, all of them get into playoff action. Today's show, we're going to stick to volleyball. Of course, last weekend it was basketball, and the basketball teams did very well at home on the weekend. The men won both their games. The women split, so the women fighting hard to grab a good playoff spot, but they're both those teams are in the running right now to play in the playoffs. Of course, the men are hosting the Ontario Championship, so they'll be participating in that in early March. Volleyball, same thing. Both teams are vying for playoff spots. The women are solid right now. The men, it's going to be a little bit of a battle. We'll talk to Coach Sean Riem in a minute. Right now, we're going to start with the ladies team and head coach Jimmy L. Turk. Good day to you, Coach Jimmy, and thanks for doing this with us. And, boy, you're such a dedicated guy. On the day of this show that we're shooting, it's blizzarding outside, and you're at the office.
Well, Dom, it's that point in the season where there's a little bit of work to be done every day. And so if I got to come in here and do a half an hour worth of work, I got to do it because every minute of preparation really matters, in my opinion, especially down the stretch here. So I got to do my part.
And you do it well, that's for sure. Team is sitting at 9-3 right now, Coach. And it's a great record, solid season so far. But I know last week the loss against Conestoga was I'd maybe even say a little bit of an eye-opener.
Maybe for some, because Conestoga traditionally hasn't been near the top of the standings, but this season they're very different. Very, very talented, very well coached, and we were both 9-2 heading into that match. And it's tough to get yourself to class on a Wednesday, spend all day in class, get on the bus, travel, and try to play on the road during the week. We don't have a ton of experience doing that because of where we are geographically in the province. And kudos to them. They showed up and they punched us in the mouth from the onset, and we could not find our legs. And we didn't play well, and they played very well. And that's a combination of bad combination, a bad recipe for us that day. So I can look back and say, yeah, it was a letdown match, etc. But the more I've watched the match, I think I got to tip my cap to them and say they outplayed us and they outprepped us, and the better team won that day.
I say it may be an eye-opener, though, Coach, only because the women, your team, they were playing extremely well. They were on, I believe, a 4-game winning streak going into that. You'd think the confidence would be there. And they knew, both teams knew this was going to be an important game. It might have ramifications here at the end when it's all said and done. And for that to happen, I think maybe was the eye opener. And not that you ever want to lose a game, but sometimes a loss is not a bad thing. It brings you back down to earth, doesn't it?
Yeah, it depends on the time of the season and who you lose it to. I much would have preferred to win that match. Sure. I think it was a combination, Dom. I think in part it was an eye opener, but I'll be honest, I don't think we overlooked Conestoga. That's for sure. I thought we prepped well, and it was, I think, two parts. One, the start of the season was pretty tough for us. We played Wednesday, Saturday, Wednesday, and then we just played this past Sunday after a month off. That's quite a bit of volume in a pretty short period of time. And we didn't have our best week of practice last week in terms of feeling fresh and ready to go. And that kind of maybe played a bit of a factor on Wednesday. But I don't want to make an excuse for that. I think the thing that I was most impressed with was our ability to rebound. Thursday, we could have come into the gym feeling pretty down on ourselves and pretty upset with the fact that we lost a big match on the road. But actually, it was one of our most joyous practices. The team really brought an energy to the gym. It was pretty light and fun. And that kind of carried over into our match on Sunday at Niagara, which we were able to get another one off of them and improve our mark to 10-3. So we rebounded well from that match. Would I have preferred to win? Yes. Did we learn something from losing that match? I think so. And so hopefully that serves us well down the stretch right here.
Well, one thing, I mean, you know, I'm very fortunate that I get to follow this league pretty close, and the parity's been outstanding. It's just been, top to bottom. There's been really good volleyball teams. Can't take any team for granted in the OCA women's, and I guess being Conestoga is having a good year. It's good for the league because it just creates that much more stiff competition, but it also does make a statement about OCA volleyball, women's volleyball, that it's very good. And this year, there's certainly no team that stands out heads and shoulders above everybody else.
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree with that, Dom. I think it's really important that, I would say, in years past, the West Division has really prepared us for the playoffs, and I think that's sometimes a strength for the West Division versus the East Division, is that maybe there's a big gap in talent in women's volleyball in the East Division between the top few teams and the bottom teams, whereas in the West, it's not really the case. And the fact that Conestoga has now, put themselves in the very upper tier of our league this season, I think that just helps us, like, more than anything else. That gives us two more really quality matches where we have to prep and game plan and be sharp and execute at a really high level in order to win, because you don't want to walk through the season, right, untested and unchallenged. That doesn't prepare you for what the playoffs looks like. Regardless of record, those games are high leverage situations, and we've seen it firsthand last season. You can get nipped pretty quickly if you're not focused and ready. So I think it's really good for our league that, especially in the West Division, that the teams are strong and that you got to bring it every single night, because maybe your record doesn't look the way that you'd hope, but it definitely prepares you for late February when you want to be playing your best and you want to feel battle tested.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about the playoffs last year, Coach. That was not fun. Speaking of preparing, you're home this weekend. Depending on when people are watching this show, Friday night, you'll take on the Redeemer Royals. Here's a team again. They come in with a winning record. They're battling for playoff spots, and I'm excited about this game. I think it's going to be a great match. And again, it's always great to watch the ladies play at home. Hopefully, they can improve their record. But what does Redeemer bring to the table, and how tough will this game be, Coach?
I think very tough. We were really lucky to escape their gym with a win last time. We won in 5 sets, and truthfully, we probably had no business winning any one of those 5 sets. We found a way to get it done, and so it'll be a really tough test for us. I think they do, in particular, 2 things very well. They serve with very good aggression, and effective. They're serving really tough and in the court, especially in their home gym. We'll see how that travels on the road. And they have 2 very capable left side attackers, and they're able to set them with a lot of speed. So, that's not something that we've particularly managed all that well this season. And so it's been a point of emphasis, over the last couple of weeks, kind of looking at who we've played, trying to stop people's left side attackers. And that's going to be another point of emphasis this week. And so we'll see if we can do a bit of a better job, because last time their left sides did a pretty good number on us, especially against our setter when they're blocking. So we'll have to do a bit of a better job defending that. And hopefully we can play a little better than we did last time.
Yeah, I believe they're 7-6 right now, Coach. A winning record, like I said, after 13 games, and pretty good stats on the team. As I mentioned at the top of the program here, season's starting to wind down. We're getting down to the last couple of weekends. And I know you don't look beyond any game, probably any serve in any game, which is great. That's what makes you a great coach. But do you start thinking about the playoffs a little bit here at all, or do you start building towards that?
I think you always have to have an eye for the end of the season with, like, my personal planning and how we kind of manage day to day and week to week with our training. But we're not talking about the playoffs. We are not taking that for granted. We are not assuming that we are this seed or at home or on the road or whatever. We're not assuming that. We are just trying to get a little bit better and make sure that we have a plan A that's working well. And if not, then we have a plan B that we're comfortable with certain lineups and those kinds of things. We're trying to prepare for, a 1-match elimination and make sure that we've got as many contingency plans as possible as a staff, and the athletes are just trying to get a little bit better. Maybe our growth isn't so large right now this part of the season, but there's still improvements to be made, and there's still some weaknesses to check off and some strengths to continue to enhance. So I'm giving you a lot of coach speak, Dom, because I'm not looking past tomorrow's practice, let alone looking to the match on Friday. Like, we have a chance to get better tomorrow, and so that's what I'm looking at. And we're trying to just stay grounded and humble and just not get too far ahead of ourselves, as difficult as that might be.
I love the coaching. Coach Jimmy. It's all good. And teach this old guy something. That's a good thing. I'm enjoying it. So don't stop. Don't ever stop, and keep going. Hopefully in a positive direction. Friday night, I believe 6 p.m. the women go. So Coach, will look forward to seeing you at the Sportsplex. Hopefully, I have a good crowd. There's a lot of good things going on that night, and I think it's going to be just a great night of volleyball there. So appreciate your time here today, and make sure you are careful in the snow.
Thank you, Dom. Always appreciate your time, and we'll see you on Friday.
All right, that's Coach, Jimmy Alturk of the women's volleyball team. Of course, the men will be in action Friday night as well, and the men are right in that mix, trying to find a playoff spot. They're in tough. They're sitting at 5-8 right now. Working hard with the team is the head coach, Coach Sean Riem. He joins us on the program. Thanks for doing this with us, Coach. How are you today? And you're the smart one. You're at home today, so being that it's pretty rough out there today.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I'm doing all right. Just hiding from the snow with my family right now.
Yeah, not a bad thing. Not a bad thing. Let's talk about the team the last little bit here, Coach. I guess the season, is it fair to say, Coach, has kind of been up and down all year with the men's team. We've seen signs of really strong play, some growth, and then we've seen some signs where, oh boy, they maybe took a step back and got to work on some things.
Yeah, I think that is a big part of it on our end, but we can't be discounting. We can't be discrediting the other teams for how they have adapted to us second semester. And much like Jimmy said, these first 2 weeks with these 4 games just crammed in, where we have like a day of practice to prep for the next game. It's tough because they made adjustments well to us, and we didn't adjust so well back. And I think that was a big part of the up and down this semester so far, anyway.
How much of the adjusting part, Coach Riem, is that is it a learning curve now? Is that something you have to really sink your teeth into and teach the guys to adjust at this level of volleyball?
It's definitely, there's a learning curve to it. Like, I do everything I can. I watch a lot of video, and I game plan as much as I can, but it's up to the athletes also to take it in and like execute the game plan. Like,
sure.
A good example of that would be this last match with Niagara, where they came out with one of their best players back off an injury, and he played great. They all played great. Despite us actually executing the game plan pretty much the way we wanted it to. Like, statistically, we got what we wanted almost every time. We served them well. They were in trouble, but we couldn't stop them. They scored everything they swung at, and they served bombs. It's like, at that point, good for you.
Yeah, I guess that maybe – I don't know. I mean, I don't know Niagara's lineup as far as experience goes, but does experience play a role in something like that? And your team, again, is there a learning curve that has to be taken care of to win those type of games that where you do execute the game plan, or maybe just not strong enough? What's the cause there?
There's definitely a gap in experience if you were to compare us with Niagara. Like, they have a 5th year left side, a couple like 3rd or 4th year left sides, an upper year setter, an upper year middle. Like, their whole lineup is pretty veteran and experienced. And we're coming at them with a bunch of first years and a bunch of 1.5 years. And like, so that definitely makes a difference. And yeah, I don't know necessarily how that. I'll leave it at that. That's yeah.
That's good. That sounds good, Coach. Experience is a factor. Well, let's face it. No matter what, no matter what sport, no matter what level, experience always plays a factor. And certainly at this level of volleyball, this caliber of play, I think I like this team. I know I was talking to you at the Sportsplex one day and telling you how much I like this team and the effort that they're putting forth, and you could see that potential. Boy, if they could ever get to the point where they can bring that every day, every point, every match, I think this team's going to have a lot of success. I guess when you think about it or look at it, Coach, and patience. I guess patience for you and your coaching staff, maybe some of the fans. If we just have to be a little bit patient to see this team grow and really, hopefully, reach their potential. Is that the key though? Patience right now.
Certainly a part of it. Like it's hard to do a lot of big things and win huge matches when everyone is pretty new, and patience will be a factor, but it's not. I don't want to use that as like a crutch, like, oh, we're doing our best, but just let us wait till next year. No, we have to be able to perform now. And like that means putting pressure on certain athletes more than others, and we get to see what they're made of. Because right now we're, like you said, we're battling for a lower spot in the playoffs, and there's nothing but tough matches left.
Yeah. Fair to say, Coach, I'm glad you said that, because it's fair to say that this team's almost already in playoff mode. Like you said, every game's so important to try to find a playoff spot, get into that postseason. Do you almost treat each game right now as a playoff game?
Never really thought of it that way. Like, but I guess you could say, like, yeah, in a way, like every match here is we need to win. But that's like any match ever. I'm never going into a match saying like, this is one I would be happy to lose, or this is one we can afford to lose. It's like we're trying to win every match.
Yeah.
But there's other factors now involved where, for example, Conestoga, who had not beaten anyone except Boreal last semester, turns around and beats Niagara in this first week. And we're like, what is this?
Yeah, some crazy stuff.
Yeah, so like there's other teams, a couple behind us, who are like sneaking away with some wins who like could be trouble for us.
Yeah. Well, you got to take care of business Friday night with Redeemer.
Yes,
I know you suffered a setback, three sets to 2. It was a tough match back in November, I believe. Yep, there it is right there. Tell me, how do you turn the tables here? How can you find a win against Redeemer?
Well, you could just replay your interview with Jimmy when it comes to Redeemer, because they do a lot of the same things on the men's side. They got 2 very veteran outsides who they're relying on a lot. They have a third as well who's newer, and he's quite strong, but they serve bombs, and they're very good in their own gym. And like we played them very well at their gym, and I thought we should have come away with that win, but we let them get rolling, and they get better and better as they go because they get more comfortable with their serving. So there are some adjustments we can definitely be making, and we are a much better team than we were in November. I'm pretty confident in that. So I'm going to look back on how we played them last time and make a few small adjustments, and then plan for the adjustments that they are likely to make against us, because every team's been doing it to us so far this half with mostly success.
Yeah, it's a game of chess, isn't it? Yep. It is. Well, Coach, I know you have the guys ready. I appreciate the time here today. I'll look forward to seeing you at the Sportsplex Friday night. It's going to be 2 great matches, both the men and the women, with the Redeemer Royals. And certainly, Coach, I wish you luck on it, and I'll look forward to seeing you there at the Sportsplex.
Thank you so much. I'll see you there.
All right, that's Coach Sean Riem of the men's volleyball team at St. Clair College. Just a quick note, the basketball teams, the men are playing this weekend at Canadore. The women have the weekend off, actually. The women don't play at Canadore because Canadore does not have a women's basketball team. So The women will get a little bit of a rest. I'm sure Coach Andy Kiss will work on things, no doubt about that. And we wish the men luck and a safe trip to Canada. So once again, just a reminder, Friday night, there it is, Pack the Plex. There's all kinds of giveaways on this Friday night, and also 2 $1,000 bursaries or scholarships are going to be given out. You have to be a St. Clair College student to be eligible for it. But yeah, a lot of good stuff going on, and 2 exciting volleyball matches. And of course, We Digital will have all the action for you starting at 6 p.m. So that's it for this edition of Saints Sports. Come back again next week. We'll talk more Saints athletics. Until then, stay safe and have a great day.